Day one of on-ice sessions in the books at Maple Leafs training camp. What did we learn? Who's playing with who? We'll get to all that and more on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. What's happening, brother?
Feeling pretty good. We're a couple of sleeps away.
Yeah, a couple sleeps away. I just realized that I did not have the right microphone setting, and now we do. Now we have it, so I should be coming through clearer now.
You're a lot louder now.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, cool. Sounds good. Well, I'm clearly not in mid-season form just yet. Neither are the Maple Leafs, still working out the kinks. But the Leafs on the ice today for the first time. We got the first look at the group. Sans Mitch Marner. First time we've ever seen Maple Leafs training camp kick off without Marner in about a decade. And, it's interesting. We talked all summer about what the lines could look like, and we finally got a chance to see what's been percolating in the mind of Craig Berube all summer, right? The first iterations of the Maple Leafs lines came out. Didn't keep in mind, people, that the way that it works through the first kind of week of camp is you have two groups, right? Group 1 and Group 2. So it's not necessarily that Group 1 is going to be the NHL roster and Group 2 are the hopefuls fighting for spots. It's mix and match. It's all over the place. So it doesn't necessarily mean anything if someone's in Group 1 or in Group 2. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. But the lines within the groupings is what could tell us a little bit about what Craig Berube and the Maple Leafs are thinking when it comes to how they're going to deploy their lineup, right, Dave?
Yeah, exactly. Like as soon as people get the first look, I look to see, okay, well, it was also announced there were going to be two groups.
Yes.
And like you have to remember, there are a lot of players here at camp. And guys are going to be mixing and matching in a lot of different ways. So you have to find a way to get all these guys ice time. So what they do, you break them up into groups, and not necessarily. And the other thing too is not necessarily Group 1. Not all of them are going to go and play in the first preseason game. You might get a mixed match of Group 1 and 2. I think a lot of it depends on, is it a road game? Is it a home game? Those are sort of factors that I think come into play when they decide how preseason will shake out.
Yeah, and the first preseason game, don't gotta wait too long. It's gonna be this weekend. It'll be on Sunday. It's in Ottawa, correct? They're on the road first, if I'm not mistaken. Is it in Ottawa the first preseason game? I know it's a home and home. I thought it was in Ottawa and then back home.
So Sunday's in Ottawa, Tuesday's at home.
Yeah, Tuesday at home. So maybe they wait and hold off and allow, like Matthews and Nyes to play the home game in front of the home fans, and then send Group 2 out for the first game, the road game, I suppose, on Sunday. I don't know. We're not sure yet. That's something that we'll probably learn over the course of the next couple of days, obviously. But why don't we go through and dissect what the groupings looked like? So why don't we take a peek at group number 1 first and what the lines looked like there? Because Group 1 did feature the captain. It did feature the man that's going to have to really step up if this team's going to repeat as Atlantic Division champions. We're talking about the captain, Austin Matthews, leading the charge for Group 1, along with his line mate in Matthew Nyes. And look at that. Matthias Michelli gets the first shot next to Matthews and Nyes. Granted, Max Domi will not be doing on-ice sessions for the first couple of days. He tweaked something apparently in the last week or so he'll be slowly getting integrated on the ice. So because of that, Michelli was the first guy to get the opportunity. What do you make of that trio there?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. I know that Berube initially said that they didn't want to throw Michelli into that position right off the hop. But at the same time, the injury to Max Domi, it's like, well, if they had didn't really think about who else would be thrown there, you might as well just give it a shot right off the hop, right? I don't think there's any harm in doing it, because as soon as Domi's back, then you can work on whatever your other option was going to be for Michelli.
Yeah, and things are it's going to be fluid. Other guys are going to get an opportunity. Domi's going to get healthy. He'll get a chance to skate with those guys. I'm sure there'll be another player or two that'll get a chance. Maybe Nick Robertson, maybe your boy, Callie Yarncroc gets an opportunity, Easton Cowan. But Matthias Michelli gets the opportunity to play alongside those two to start things off. And he's probably the closest the Maple Leafs have to a Mitch Marner. We're talking about a guy who has good vision and good passing skills. Matthias Michelli is probably, the best they have on the team. If they're looking to replace that skill set on that line, someone to get the puck to Matthews, it does make sense that he gets an opportunity.
Yeah, and look, between him and Domi, I think those are the two guys when you think of playmaking ability, vision, it's those two. I think Michelli, we've seen over the last few years, maybe there's a bit more upside from him in terms of that playmaking ability. Like Domi's a good passer, but Michelli, like that's what he has been known for.
Mm-hmm.
And he's had some pretty good seasons in Utah when he's been given that opportunity as the top playmaker. So yeah, not surprised that they did this right off the hop with Domi down. As soon as I heard Domi's down, I kind of figured this was the direction that they're going to go.
Yeah, it seemed like the most logical choice. And 2 years ago, Michelli had his best season. It was just his second full year in the NHL, and he went on to have 57 points, 43 assists. And that was playing with the Arizona Coyotes, the final year that they were there, playing in a 5,000 seat college arena. Now he's going to Scotiabank Arena, playing for the Maple Leafs, the most storied franchise, playing on a line with Austin Matthews. I mean, it's a big opportunity for Michelli. Let's hope that hopefully he takes it and runs with it. Cause I was excited about the trade when they made it, thought it was a good bet, good, strong bet. And now he get an opportunity to prove himself pretty early on. I've got a line name for you here though. Like if this line takes off, it needs a name, obviously. Like the best lines in hockey always get their own name. How's this one for you, Dave? The Desert Line.
I thought you were going to go with the Eminem line, but
no. Why'd you go Eminem? Nice. Oh, I guess Matthew Nyes, Austin Matthews. Yeah, I guess that could work too. But I like the Desert Line because you got both Matthew Nyes and Austin Matthews from Arizona, and Matthias Michelli, drafted, developed, played most of his hockey in Arizona in the desert. The Desert Line, baby.
I've heard worse lines. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not a bad choice. And Utah's kind of got that bit of a desert feel to it, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I guess it's like Midwest.
Yeah.
Itch type feel. Yeah, they might have cactuses. I don't know. Never been to Utah. Never been there. But yeah, I'm excited to see what that looks like off the hop and to see if they can build some chemistry early on in camp. Okay, let's continue to take a look at these lines in a moment. We'll come back and we'll dive into the rest of Group 1, dive into Group 2, anything that surprised us, and we got a giveaway that we're doing a little bit later on in the show. So make sure you stay tuned for the giveaway. We'll tell you how you can win what we're giving away. We'll do the details on the other side. I'm Mike DiStefano with Dave Morassutti. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here. Now the NHL season is here as well, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for the start of the year with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. It fits however I want to bet, whether it's on props, SGPs. You can jump in, do some live in-game betting, or even futures bets, and it makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your favorite team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little more energies to your Sundays. So you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, free and available wherever you find a podcast. And you can also find the Locked On Leafs podcast on YouTube. We have a giveaway that we're going to be doing. And Dave, would you like to explain the giveaway details, what we're giving away, and how our wonderful listeners of the Locked On Leafs podcast can win it?
Yeah, so if any of you have been watching the Toronto Blue Jays, and if you're Toronto sports fans, I don't know why you haven't been watching the Blue Jays, but their top prospect, Trey Yusevich, was called up, made his first start this week.
Stud.
Yeah.
Stud.
9
Absolute.
Ks. It's pretty good for a 22-year-old in your first MLB start.
Not bad. Only broke a Jays record, set a Jays record.
He's going to be making his second start this weekend on Sunday in Kansas City. And we have a lovely Discord. If you're not part of the Discord, I will be putting the link so you guys can get in there. But Canadian Ranger, one of our lovely Discord members, decided, let's do a little giveaway. He's a big card collector. You're not the only one that's a part of it.
I'm aware. I started doing Whatnot streams, and Canadian Ranger popped in the other day into one of my Whatnot streams. So I found out the other day that Canadian Ranger is a card collecting fan. Yeah.
Well, he has decided to celebrate Trey Yusevich's MLB debut in his second start. He wants to give away a card to one of our Locked On Leafs listeners.
Let's go.
In order to do this, though, you have to say a secret word, but not only say the secret word, you got to like us, like this video. You have to subscribe to the channel. Also follow us on Instagram. Yeah. And should we give away the secret word right now?
You know what? Actually, I have a better idea. Okay. Instead of a secret word, how about this? We got our first game coming up on Sunday, same day as Trey Savage.
Yeah.
Right. How about you give us who you think will score the first goal of Maple Leafs preseason action?
Okay.
Who's going to score the first goal? So if you guess the guy who scores first and you're liking us, you're following us on Instagram, you're subscribed to us also on YouTube and iTunes, wherever, you'll get an opportunity to be entered into a draw to win this card. So make sure that you are subscribed and let us know who's going to score the first goal of the game. And it's a little tricky because we don't know who's playing. We don't know who's going to play yet. So it's definitely a big guess at this point as to who that could possibly be. I'm still going to go with, I think I'll probably, you know what? William Nylander. Because I already made the decision that I thought possibly Group 2 might play that first game so that Matthews gets the home start. So Nylander was in Group 2. Nylander is the best goal scorer in that group. I'm going to go with Billy Stiles to open up the goal scorer.
What I'll suggest, because we don't know at the time we're recording this, which group, give us a name from Group 1 and give us a name from Group 2.
Perfect. Yes. Give us a name from Group 1 and Group 2. Absolutely.
If you need to know who's in Group 1 and Group 2, you can obviously listen to. We had it on the YouTubes here, but you can just go and take a look.
Well, we're doing it right now. I mean, we're going through right now. So why don't we pull Group 1 up, because we only went through the Matthews line. Okay, so it's Nyes, Matthias Michelli. Group second line: Steven Lorentz, Scott Laughton, Nick Robertson. They got Michael Pezzetta, David Kampf, and Kalle Järnkrok. And Barbolini, Gru, and Vallis. Wait, is that Barbalin and Barbolini? Or is that two different players, or is that a typo? There's a Barbalini and a Barbolini possibly. Anyway, Riley Carlo, Thrun Myers, Refi Danford, and then Noah Chadwick and Matt Benning as defensive partners. Stolars and Hildeby, the goalies for this group. Before we get to Group 2, what else kind of sticks out to you here about this grouping? For me, it's the fact that it's Nick Robertson on a line with Lorentz and Laughton, and Järnkrok with Kampf and Pezzetta.
Yeah, so by the way, it is Tverberg that's missing from this. So I'm actually going to do one quick thing, and I'm going to switch it to this. I will switch it to this Group 1, so you can actually get...
Okay, so it's supposed to be Tverberg. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so Tverberg... Oh, sorry, got to scroll down a little bit. Here, I'll find it after. The big one for me here, I'll say, is... Järnkrok, I thought he would have been getting more of a, I guess, not fourth line in terms of, like, I thought he would have been playing with Lorentz and Laughton. I did not expect it to be Nick Robertson.
Yeah. Did you see his comments? Did you see his comments today too? He spoke. All right. Tell the people, tell the good listeners of the podcast what Nicky Bobby had to say about his situation. Again, if you kind of forget, he was the last RFA to sign that had what do they call it? Not rights. The negotiation. Arbitration. Thank you.
Arbitration,
Yeah, he was the last guy who had arbitration rights to actually sign his deal, and he ends up signing a contract just under $2 million. 1 year deal for Nick Robertson. Then he'll be a UFA at the end of the season. He had previously asked for a trade last offseason. We're unsure if that happened again this offseason, but he never got dealt. He's been with the Maple Leafs since he's been drafted, but really has not been able to carve out a daily, everyday role with the team. And Dave, why don't you tell us the quote that he had today that's kind of making the rounds, bit of a polarizing quote from Nick Robertson.
Yeah, so let's start with what he thinks his role is going to be. It's no different than any other year. It's out of my control. Every year I come in and I want to take that step. It's literally in, and he says, Leafs head coach Craig Berube's control. I know what I have to do. But then when they ask, what exactly needs to be done for him to get into the lineup, it's up to them. They know what I'm capable of. They see me last year. It's not like I'm going to a whole new coaching staff.
It's true. I mean, they know what he's all about. But the problem is, if they know what he's all about at this point and he's not willing to elevate or change his game, it's going to be the same result. I mean, you got to prove that there is something different, and you got to give them a reason to be like, oh, he's improved. He's had a good summer. Oh, he's added this to his game now. He's got to keep evolving as a player, because clearly what he's been doing wasn't good enough to make the lineup. So I'm not a fan of those comments, Dave. I'm not a fan of those comments at all.
He also did reiterate that, I have to prove myself. You have to prove your strengths. It's like I'm going to try to take my foot off the gas, but there's so many things you can stress about. Why would I stress about something I can't control? And so that was those are the comments there when he makes it seem like he's making it seem like it's out of his control what happens with his development and his future. And that's totally wrong. Like I think you're right. The mindset is totally wrong, because we have seen players reinvent themselves. We have seen players go from, I think I'm a big offensive guy to, I got to change it up and be more of a defensive forechecking type of guy. Like,
right.
Players are capable of reinventing their game, because at some point it's not going to be enough. Like, the coach is going to be like, if you're not doing what we did in the past, and now you think you're just going to come in here and you may have worked on getting stronger and things like that, but if you're not willing to play the style that we are looking for, you're gonna don't be surprised when you're not in the lineup. Right off the hop. Like that again, it's almost like as if he feels like the coaching staff is the reason why he's not getting the opportunity that he thinks he deserves.
Yeah, the problem is this is now two coaching staffs and two different general managers, and now a different, like, Shanahan was the top guy at the time. Now it's Keith Pelly at the top guy at the time. Like, it's completely different, but it's been the same result, same outcome. So I don't know if I can really look at it that way anymore when it comes to Nick Robertson. I think he's gonna have to, like you said, kind of reinvent his game a little bit and do something that allows him to be useful lower in the lineup. Right? Can't just rely on a healthy scratch, come back, score a goal, go silent for 4, get scratched, come back, score a goal, go silent for 6. Like, it's not how you become a regular in the NHL. So unless he spent all summer kind of working on his defensive game and working on puck protection, and maybe, he can try and kill some penalties or something, I'm not sure Nick Robertson has a long future here with the Maple Leafs. And I'm taking a look to see what he kind of came in at, his measurables. Still just 5'9". He put on 2 pounds, I guess, 2 pounds. So he's up to 180 now for Nick Robertson. But you had other guys putting on far more weight than that. And this is a team that wants to play a heavy game. It's tough to play a heavy game when you're only 180 pounds. So I still am of the belief that Nick Robertson is not finishing the season in Toronto. I think it's very similar to last year's situation with Timothy Liljegren, where they came to an agreement with a contract because he was still an asset. But they'll probably give him a chance to showcase himself early, maybe try and see if someone wants to trade for him so they can get something of substance out of him. But I'm not sure it'll be much more than a mid-round pick at this point, if at all. I expect Robertson to be dealt fairly soon into camp. I really do. I don't think he finishes the year as a Maple Leaf.
I don't see it either. I just think that they were maybe hoping he would come in and try to change his attitude, maybe, or they're hoping that, he come in and really want to show what he can do, and yet doesn't really look like he's in the right mind frame to with it. I think he understands that, when a coach doesn't like you, sometimes coaches don't like you, but at the same time, it's up to you to make the coach change his mind.
That's right. So we'll see. Whatever games he ends up getting right now, he's penciled in as the fourth line right winger based on the lineup, right? Like Lorentz and Lawton, that's your fourth line, left winger and center, right? That's the pair. Berube talks about pairs all the time. So that's his pair right now for the fourth line. Robertson's getting the first crack at it. So he'll have an opportunity to prove that he can be an NHLer, but he's going to have to definitely add a little something defensively if that's going to be the case. All right, we'll take one more break. Let's come back and let's dive into Group 2 and what the lines look like there, or takeaways from day one of on-ice sessions at training camp. We'll continue next on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. The Locked On Leafs podcast continues. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you, as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. The Locked On Leafs podcast can be found wherever you get a podcast and also on YouTube. You want to stay locked into what's happening with the Maple Leafs all year long, make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast. And just another reminder of the giveaway. Let us know. Pick a player from Group 1 and Group 2. Who's going to score the first goal of preseason for the Maple Leafs in the game this Sunday against the Ottawa Senators? Give us a player that you think is going to score. We'll pick one lucky commenter who is also subscribed to us. And they will win a Trey Savage rookie card. Yes, so a little cross-sport action here, but courtesy of one of our listeners, Canadian Ranger, over on the Discord channel, an absolute beauty, been a part of the Locked On Leafs Discord for many, many years. If you guys want to get involved, it's a riot once the season gets going. During games, it's so much fun. And also been a part of the fantasy hockey pool the last couple of years as well, which we got to get going on. We need some new blood in the fantasy hockey pool too. So if there's any interest, I know someone did reach out to me on Twitter. If there's any interest in joining the Locked On Leafs fantasy hockey pool, we can open it up to more teams. Maybe try and have a 16-team league this year potentially. Get some new guys and gals into the league. So let us know. Reach out to us on Twitter if you're interested there. Group 2, Dave, let's take a peek at what Group 2 looked like today on the ice. Obviously, the names that we haven't talked about were the guys who were there, and John Tavares and William Nylander were kind of the guys who led the charge in that regard. Bobby McMann got the assignment next to Willie and Tavares. And McMann and Tavares looked good at times last year, so that makes a whole lot of sense. But we do also need to keep in mind that there was no Max Domi, and that would have been probably the place that Domi would have been, I would imagine. But it looks like McMann is kind of the next guy up in the mind of Craig Berube, which leads me to believe that this Dakota Joshua and Nick Waugh, that's a pair, right? Again, Berube talks in pairs a lot. Matthews, Nyes, Tavares, Nylander, Waugh, Joshua, Lorentz, and Lawton. Those are the pairs, and the rest of the guys in the lineup will kind of filter in and out. It appears, but this is what Group 2 looked like today. What sticks out to you?
The McMahon one was like the first thing I saw right away, and again, there's familiarity there. That's why I'm wondering, is he a bit of a placeholder while Domi's on, Michelli's on the top line? That could be where the switch happens. But he's a player I'm looking at to have a big bounce back because I thought he had a really good regular season, and then in the playoffs, it's like, what happened to Bobby McMahon? Like something just flipped, and he just wasn't the same player in the playoffs. And I have high hopes for him because, he plays that Craig Berube style that we've come to expect. So Bobby McMahon's a guy I want to see really succeed, really flourish, and hopefully we don't see him, facing a roster crunch bubble where he's in and out of the lineup, because I think he can be a very valuable player. He just needs to go out and prove it.
Yeah, I think he's a solidified top 9 in my opinion. I don't think he'll be impacted by any roster crunch by any means, especially with them having cap space as well. It seems like they look at him as the next man up in terms of filling out the top 6. So I think he's pretty safe in terms of a roster spot. But maybe he gets an opportunity here on in the top 6 a little more often than we thought. And Easton Cowan, though, getting the chance to play alongside Nick Roy and Dakota Joshua, which I expect to be very much a defensively responsible team. I find it kind of interesting that in the first day of camp, the Craig Berube decided to throw out the rook, Easton Cowan, who he has dogged before about, his bad habits, especially defensively and with puck protection, or OHL habits, we'll say, but putting him with Waugh and Joshua, hoping that maybe those protection skills rub off a little bit onto Easton Cowan.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him play with, getting a legitimate chance with NHL players. We saw him last year where he didn't initially, and then eventually he got elevated and saw some minutes with some of the NHL guys. I like this. I like that they're giving him a legitimate chance right off the hop. Curious to see how that dynamic works with Joshua and Nicolas Waugh, but I think that's also them like, hey, you're the offensive guy on this trio. You got to go out and help us generate some offense, because Joshua is capable of scoring. Nicolas Waugh, he's not a total offensive. He can provide some offense, but you need somebody to help kind of kickstart it. And I think that's the challenge that Easton Cowan has, to go out and prove he can do it.
Yeah. So we'll see what he can do again. Unsure if he'll play the game on Sunday or Tuesday, but at some point he's going to go out there, and can't wait to see what it looks like. A couple of minor leaguers, depth players rounded out the rest of the forward group there. And then McCabe, Tanev, OEL, Benoit, Prokop, and Dakota Mermies, and then Cade Weber and William Villeneuve rounds out the forward groupings. And then goaltending-wise, it was Joseph Woll and was it Artyomov? Artur Akhtiamov and Joseph Woll were the guys there. So we didn't really discuss a whole lot about who put on weight, who lost weight, and what the situation was when it came to that throughout the offseason. But I'm looking at a tweet now that friend of the show, Kyle Cushman, put out yesterday, and a couple of things that are sticking out to me about off-season weight gain and losses. Well, we did, I guess, talk a little bit about Morgan Rielly lost 6 pounds, looking a little bit more slender, I suppose. But you look at a couple guys who've put on some weight. Dakota Joshua put on 12 pounds from last year, so he's up to 218 now. And I think he lost quite a bit of weight, with the cancer battle. So he's just getting himself back to kind of where he's comfortable at. Matthew Nyes, who had a big jump in weight gain last year, put on another 5 pounds of bulk. He's now up to 232.
I think
Matthew Nyes, 6'3", 232 pounds.
I think he is the biggest, not like in terms of skaters. He's the biggest player. Like I think I think Stolarz is 248. He's also 6'6" and plays goalie. Yeah, but crazy. Like, man, that is, as Steve Dangle says, beef.
That is a beefy boy. That certainly is a beefy boy. 232. Yeah, I don't think there's another skate. Yeah, he is the heaviest player at camp. I'm just taking a look, seeing there's 222. That's Rhett Parsons, who does not even really matter. Chris Tanev put on 1 more pound to get to that number of 200. So I'm sure he's happy to see that. William Villanova actually put on 9 pounds. He's almost at 200 now, which is good to see. He's going to want to try and battle for one of those depth spots with the Maple Leafs. Anything else kind of stick out to you really quickly here about the weight? Brandon Carlo put on 7 pounds. It looks like Ben Danford put on 5 pounds, got himself to a nice round number of 200, which is obviously good to see for him as well.
Matthias Michelli added 11 pounds.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, Michelli now coming in 5'11", 187 pounds. So that is good to see. Actually, you know who else put on a decent amount of weight? I think Easton Cowan put on some weight here. Put on 5 pounds. So he's now apparently he grew half an inch as well. So now he's coming in at 6 foot even. So 6 feet, 190 pounds. Pretty good. That's what you want to see. And that's sometimes when you draft a kid who's undersized, you're hoping he can grow into his frame. And for Easton Cowan, that extra 5 pounds is going to help going up against men in the NHL. The extra 5 pounds should help, assuming you put it on healthy and maybe, in the lower half to allow him to be more, more physical, give him more bursts with the legs, better skating and whatnot. So we'll see what else happens there. But yeah, I think that's pretty well most of what Matthews lost 2 pounds apparently for whatever reason. Matthews like, I'll shed a piece.
There are like even Cade Weber put on 8 pounds. The guy is 6 foot. I think he lost an inch too, which
apparently he lost an inch. That's concerning. You lose an inch at like 23 years old. That's concerning. I don't know about that for Cade Weber.
That's interesting. But yeah, I know. I mean, there's some guys who put on like there are players I feel like they probably told him you need to go out and you need to add a little bit. Like you need to bulk up your game a little bit. And like Morgan Riley we talked about yesterday, with him being a -6. Like that's a player who is clearly, as you see on the screen, I'm trying to make it bigger. It's not really working out. A little hard to read, but like not as much red as maybe we've come to see. A lot of green, which means a lot of guys were clearly putting it. All the goalies except for Peksa, which is interesting. All the goalies except Peksa put on weight. So
it's just the way that the league is trending, right? It's the way that it's trending, man. It's big, it's heavy, but it's big in the right ways. You got to be fast, right? You got to be able to still skate well. It's not just meatballs out there. Like you look around the league, okay, the Dallas Stars, the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Colorado Avalanche, the Vegas Golden Knights, like they've got some size for sure, and they're heavy teams, but they can skate, man. They can all skate as well. So as long as these guys are putting the weight on in the right way, that still allows them to be explosive, or maybe the weight added to their maybe bottom half gives them a little bit more explosiveness that allows them to skate well and still be the big beefy boys. That plays well to what the modern day NHL is and to the systems and what the team wants to do, the identity of what this team wants to be under Craig Berube and Brad Treliving.
Exactly. Just it reinforces the culture.
Yep, it does. And you know what? I'm a believer, man. I'm a believer in what they're preaching right now. I think that they got the right coach in tow. I think they had some big strides last year in playing more of a physical, more structured game. And if they can continue to do that, they brought in guys who they believe can play with good structure and build off of that. I think they should be in good shape, right? They should be in good shape this year to get it, in and around 100 points on the season, right? Matthews has a big bounce back year. You get a nice bump from Matthew Nyes. Hopefully Willie can pump in another 40 plus goals for, will that be 4 straight years of 40 or more goals for him? Tavares might, have a bit of a decline, a bit of downward in his statistics from a season ago. But overall, I think that the team should be just fine, and we'll get a chance to watch them in action, in-game action this weekend, Sunday, game number 1 against the Ottawa Senators. Games in Ottawa. What time's the game? What time's puck drop, actually? Is that an afternoon one?
No, it's an evening one. I believe. Actually, I shouldn't say that without. Let me double check. It is. Sorry, it's at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock.
I thought I saw it was an afternoon game. So 3 p.m. start for the Leafs and Sens. And again, if you want to win a Trey Savage rookie card, let us know in the comment section down below who's going to score the first goal, the opening goal of Maple Leafs training camp. Make sure to subscribe to us on the Locked On Leafs podcast YouTube page. You can subscribe to us also wherever you get a podcast. Get that daily dose of Maple Leafs content directly to your phone each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. That does it for us here today on the pod. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti, and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs on Twitter and on Instagram. We'll be back with another episode for you guys on Monday. Enjoy the game. Go Leafs, go. Until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.